Hi, it's Aliona with you. Today I'm going to show you a big toe. I'll say right away, this is Anton's toe, and yes, he hasn't cut his nails for a very long time. And it's not like there was any content planned. Well, sometimes it just happens like that. Write in the comments, who else sometimes forgets to cut their toenails? Well, thank God Anton doesn't grow anything, so he can afford to do that. But we can take a very close look under the macro lens to see what's hiding under the nails. But let's start by wiping everything down and applying a special softening foam. I have a product from Pedicure here and I'm still testing it. I want to say that it's very interesting and I'll show you its features later. But for now, let's take the straight cut nippers, and of course the first thing we'll do is just remove the length of the nail. As you can see, they're very thick and it's actually quite difficult to do this. Remember, this is being filmed with a macro lens, and that in turn means that I have very little space to work. So just for the effort and my heroism, honestly, I deserve a like. Well, at least that's what I think. So I'm really looking forward to it from you, especially since your support is very important to me right now. Basically, we trim the length of the free edge as much as possible. It's normal to leave about 0.5 millimeter. Some people like to trim it all the way down, but the main thing is not to go so far that you hit the red part and cause pain. After that, we move on to the cuticle. To push back the cuticle, I'm going to use a pusher. Mine is from Schurst. Yes, you can see it on camera. If you need, take a screenshot and you'll find it. I really love this particular shape of pusher. And on the other side, there's this special little hatchet that you can use to remove the unnecessary part of the pterygium. And of course, the most interesting part is waiting for us in the side walls. And by the way, this is dedicated to all the fans of making jokes, because here I'm going to have a little mess up. So keep your eyes open and make sure to watch closely. After applying the softening agent, you can move on to working with Curette 02. I tried to make it so you wouldn't have to ask. I'm showing you so you can see which instruments I'm using. By the way, I'll definitely leave links to these instruments in the description. Here's what it looks like from one roller, so that was the first pass. Now we'll dig a bit more and take another one from there. And of course, for those who are interested in what this is, I can say that these are remnants of skin and generally some products, let's say, of foot activity, socks, sweat, skin and other things like that. And on the other side, it's actually great because Anton has a pretty thick layer here, which means this deformation happened a long time ago. The dent's origin is unknown, but it likely resulted from pressure applied at some point. But the funniest thing is that socks always pile up in this exact spot. As you can see, before this he had purple socks, and these little fibers gather there with enviable regularity. Armed with tweezers. I also showed what kind of tweezers I have, by the way, and it's a really cool thing. If you do pedicures without tweezers like this, with a special grip inside, it will be pretty difficult for you. Because it actually allows you to grab all sorts of unnecessary things and things you can't reach with clippers or your hands. We keep selecting the little pieces and removing them entirely. It's really unnecessary. After that, we take the straight cutting clippers and position them in such a way as to cut off the unnecessary part of the nail plate, meaning a piece of this wall. Since the nail tends to be trapezoidal, in Anton's case his nails are actually quite trapezoidal, they widen outwards. That's why every time I give him a pedicure, I always try to bring his nails back to a more attractive, let's say, shape. In other words, we try to slightly narrow the trapezoid shape. And no, nothing will start to grow in here. This has already been checked many times because his lateral folds are not puffy, his nails are not sunken in there, and he has no tendency for this at all. But with the help of a special universal softening spray, by the way, which I promised to talk about from the brand, it's a special line for podologists, we are actively testing it right now. In short, the product is really great because it works both as an antiseptic and as a keratolytic, and what's more, it's just amazing. It has an astringent effect. So if you accidentally hurt a client somewhere, or if you pulled on a dry periungual callus unsuccessfully, and as a result, if you end up with a small wound, this very astringent effect will save the situation and help close the wound. The top priority is eliminating all infection entry points. However, Anton also has an enlarged nail plate, That is this trapezoidal situation, which also rubs against the lateral nail fold. As you can see, a callus is slowly forming here, so we can observe a thickening, kind of rubbery, slightly translucent yellowish skin. We remove what we can with the nippers. Here, by the way, is exactly the case when I pulled on a dry callus and it tore. And with the help of the product I mentioned earlier, we can work with it very well. So I'll apply it now, and let's say everything will be fine. But actually everything will heal, and of course there won't be any inflammation afterwards. I double checked because it's been a few days and my finger is still fine, so you don't have to blame me for this. Next, wipe everything again. And notice I do this quite often because it's the most reliable way to control, let's say, the intensity of the pedicure or manicure. I really love different sprays. To rinse and remove excess dust, I used a carbide safety bit to gently, not deeply, lift the cuticle and slightly clean the pterygium. And now we move on to my favorite part. This is the powder that I use always and everywhere, and I really enjoy working with powder. If you haven't tried it, give it a try and everything will become clear. Because the bits don't get clogged at all and everything goes as smoothly as butter. Next, file just the free edge of the nail. Remove it using a nail file. In the process, I realized that what I cut off from the side isn't enough, so I trim a little more with straight cutting nippers. Be sure to control this moment so that there are no splinters left anywhere, and the nail grows out very, very neatly and nothing digs in anywhere. Let's check ourselves again. And here, as I mentioned earlier, there's a problem. Anton's right side wall is a little thicker than we'd like. That's why we'll use a bit, I don't know what it's called, let me know in the comments because I've gotten confused with so many bits. I really want to try each one, it's so interesting to use them. This green one, let's call it a cylinder. I successfully used it to remove that wall and I really liked it. So it removes a lot. It works great in pedicures for these kinds of procedures, for example, to clean off the pterygium and create a little edge at the cuticle. It works great in the side walls, well, of course, thanks to its green grit. So the grit is quite coarse, which means it removes everything quickly. Well, and then you can finish off the smallest bits with a diamond bit. In my case, it's a red flame. Even though it looks like I'm going deep in the video, I want to emphasize that it only seems that way. Actually, the pedicure is not deep at all. Also, don't forget that it's important to pull back the side walls with your fingers, meaning you need to bend them away so you don't cut into the skin. This is probably the most common mistake. Specifically, when people say they're cutting into the sinuses, it's because you're not opening them, you're squeezing them shut. And the burr just keeps cutting into healthy live skin when it should only be removing the old and dry skin. I have a faux blanc running in the background, that's why the dust is flying around so much. If you look at the right corner of the screen, you'll see dust particles rising up. And of course, I really enjoy watching this too. I love working with good equipment and quality tools. But honestly, who doesn't like that? A lot of people tell me, you, Elena, show tools that aren't exactly premium, but they're more expensive than some others. Or equipment like, your table is so expensive from the old Fablanchi, do you have something else expensive too? And apparently they're trying to make me feel ashamed for showing such equipment. But I'm able to earn enough to afford it, so I can use it, and I wish the same for everyone. I believe it's perfectly fine to improve your working conditions so that your work is cool, beautiful, stylish, and comfortable, and most importantly, safe. Because if we're talking about exhaust systems, for example, it's primarily about the master's safety, since all the dust will be collected in the exhaust and won't get into your lungs. So I believe that the equipment should be really good. And that's exactly what you should earn money for first. Not just buy the cheapest table from Kiev and 10 gel polishes. And then you work for a year without buying anything new, just trying to get the most out of it. After all, the main thing is that clients also see how much effort you put in and how well you equip and arrange your workspace. And because of this, the number of clients also increases. They see that you approach this with heart, with a passion for beauty, and with a strong desire to make everything great and beautiful. Anyway, that was a bit of a digression. Those were my thoughts today, because once it really, well, not that it hurt me, but it made me think, I mean, why do I choose this for myself? Is it just because I can? And maybe actually anyone can do it. I mean, it doesn't cost millions. It's just something I chose for myself so that my working conditions and my work environment would be comfortable for me. After all, I spend quite a lot of time in my office. I do a lot of work. And of course, I want to enjoy the process itself when I come here. And even during voiceover work, you won't believe it. I sit in a great chair that I bought specifically for this. Imagine me sitting here happily and contentedly recording voiceovers for you. Maybe that's why my voice turns out the way it does and you like it so much. Because I'm sitting here and everything feels just wonderful, and I'm absolutely happy sitting in this chair doing voiceovers. After all, my job is exactly what I love to do. Anyway, I've really gone off topic now. I apologize if this was uninteresting to anyone, or on the contrary, thank you so much if it resonates with you. I mean, conversations on these somewhat unrelated topics. Then we moved on to the section. I took the nippers. It's a classic for me, as always, my favorite beloved Nippon nippers. But unfortunately, we got a little out of focus because, let me remind you, I have a macro lens and there's just no space at all to work under it. And as you can see, I made some little pieces. There you see it's turning red. So now we're going to go over it again with our setting spray, which will save us from this shame and embarrassment. And yes, I'm not afraid to show my mistakes and some flaws and imperfections. Everyone makes mistakes. The main thing is to admit it and, of course, to fix it. So now everything will be great and everything will be fine. So let's move on to our spray. By the way, unfortunately, I can't leave a link to this spray, or can I? So I want to say that they have a very interesting system. You can only buy this product line for work if you've completed their training. So I'll leave a link to them and then you can find out for yourself how it all works. The guys took this matter seriously. So who wouldn't buy this miracle product and the other wonderful items they have? But that's what makes it charming and that's what gives it its flavor. I love this spray so much I felt a bit embarrassed. Someone should have paid me for such an endorsement, seriously. In short, I really like this spray because it looks so cool on camera. I absolutely love these bubbles. I remember when I showed it for the first time, I just got flooded with questions and direct messages asking what it was that I was spraying. That's why I've said it 100 times today that it's Podio Pharma. I'll definitely leave a link to it because this product is truly wonderful. And actually it's only for professional use, because outside of professional use you just won't know what to do with it. Let's start wrapping up as our video is coming to an end. And the pedicure of our toe is coming to its logical conclusion. This is how our toe looks after the treatment, clean and beautiful. Now I'll remove the little flakes and bits of debris. Of course, a bout of perfectionism hit me at the most inconvenient moment. Here I even found a tiny little hangnail. Well, overall, this is how our toe looks. And I could have finished already, but I just can't let it go. So let's say goodbye for now. This was Alina. Bye everyone. See you next time. Don't forget to take care of yourselves and your nails.